we're standing here with Michael Dominguez, Senior Vice President and Chief Sales Officer for MGM Resorts International, here in the MGM Resorts International booth, here in your hometown of Las Vegas, Mike Dominguez. So, first of all, I want to comment on the fact that Mike has been crisscrossing the country for the last couple of years on behalf of the industry as an ambassador, basically mentoring and educating all the meeting professionals about meetings mean business, and also, just as importantly, about the pricing model that the hotel business has that you've been telling the planners about. So talk to us a little bit about that, because I think you've busted some myths along the way.
Well, you know, I've been on this mission to make sure that we could elevate the dialogue. And even more than just the pricing model, it's the economic environments that currently exist. And I always talk about, in our industry, we talk about, is it a seller's market, is it a buyer's market? Can we just talk about the market? Because market conditions are going to set the stage for the next couple of years. And what we're seeing right now, and it's been a struggle for planners, I don't go in with a thought process of, let me tell you what's happening. I'm going in to say, here's the environment and here's how you can maneuver through it with as least pain possible. And I think that's an important message, and I will tell you, my only frustration is when I get a supplier coming up saying, I'm so glad you said that, and I always say, and what are you doing to educate the planning community? Because they don't know our business, as you said, blowing up some of the myths until we explain it to them. Those aha moments, especially around food and beverage specifically, knowing that food and beverage is probably going to be most critical moving forward this year with cost increases that we're expecting, everybody thinks that's where I can save the most money, and as a hotelier, it's my highest cost item and where I have the least flexibility. And just being able to explain that, I think one of the things, the takeaways I've had, is the planners have all told me, they all have stakeholders. They have a CFO or procurement office, somebody that's setting their budget. I'm trying to arm them to have that dialogue, because I think it's unfair that their stakeholders are asking them to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Yeah. They're asking to have this incredible experience, and they're giving them no money to do it.
Well, and the other thing is they're trying to negotiate things like, quote, free Wi-Fi, when in fact, there is no such thing as free Wi-Fi. There's a true cost to that.
There really is, and I know that's one of the big issues in our industry. Now, we're going to what we call a freemium model in the industry as a whole, and that means you're going to get free basic internet, but you're going to pay for bandwidth. And you know, one of the things I always stress to people, the only reason you want to get off your phone and get onto my Wi-Fi is so it's not coming out of your data plan. Everybody has a data plan today, including hotels. This is not where we make our money. It's very expensive to have it, and I think one of the disconnects is somebody will tell me, well, I have Wi-Fi in my home. Well, you don't have 100 acres with a lot of steel and concrete that you have to have many multiple touch points, and your home looks very different than 800 people breaking out of a meeting at the same time trying to get on a network.
Exactly. Well, just switching gears here for a minute, I know that MGM Resorts around the world, in terms of CSR and sustainability, this is a huge initiative that you guys have had. So talk to us about what's happening in that regard.
Absolutely. You know what? You're just down the street from our Mandalay Bay Convention Center, which just last year put the largest solar array in the United States on top of its building. It'll supply almost 25% of the power to that building when it's all said and done. You know, the one thing is sustainability is something we believe in. You don't hear us beat our chest or trumpet that in the market much, because we believe it's an expectation and a responsibility of ours to be really good citizens. But we're doing some really unique things, and when you look at what we did at City Center, and we built it, and it was the largest sustainability project ever built in the world, that has become our model for all projects moving forward. And that's what's exciting for me. We've taken and we've retrofitted a lot of hotels that we currently exist, but we're also now taking it on the road, and now all new projects will have that same mentality in mind.
Excellent. And of course, you're the go-to guy in the industry. People are always asking you, what's the latest, greatest trends? What's happening out there in the industry? So asking you the question, Mike, in terms of what you're seeing in the marketplace, particularly from the meeting professionals and the groups, clearly there's a shift in generation with the millennials coming in as decision makers, as your employees in all of your resorts. So what are some of these trends that you think are developing right now?
Well, I think as an industry, in some regards, we've overthought it. I look at, when we talk about the millennials, you look at the research that's been released this year, whether it's the IAE and PCMA study or it's the MMB study that we just did about millennials, you know what they all said? They want to meet face-to-face more than any of their peer groups. They're looking for professional development. They're looking for networking opportunities. They're looking for mentorship. That looks like every other generation before them. They use technology in a much bigger way, and their experience and how they engage is different. And I think that's where our planning community is struggling. We've always had a one-size-fits-all, and that is not the world we live in today. And one of the shifts I talk about quite frequently is you no longer have attendees to meetings, you have participants. Right. That means they are going to be involved on how I engage, how I consume, and candidly what you build as far as a meeting dynamic. And that's a real shift to our meetings ecosystem than we've ever seen in our lifetime. And the one thing I stress to people is we've got to get off demographics and talk about psychographics. Right. Because there's Xers and boomers that fall into the same likes and dislikes as certain pieces of the millennial group. It's great that we focused on them, and they've changed a little bit of it. And the one thing we've stressed consistently, you have to split the millennials into two groups. The older millennials that are 28 to 34, they are behaving like every other generation before them, except that they use technology much more. But you look at, we started to judge what the millennials were going to be when they were 25 and 26. I don't know about you, but I didn't have it figured out at 25 and 26 years old. And we made some assumptions that that's what they were going to be as they went into their adult life. They're no longer living with mom and dad, they're paying taxes, and they're trying to grow a career. That's where we're finding it to be very similar in the dynamic.
Well, we're standing here in Las Vegas where the flagship MGM Grand came on board back in the 70s, and now you've got all these multiple brands all around the world. You're developing new properties. What are some of the new properties and things that you would like to share with us that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. You know, I think the first and foremost is Mandalay Bay and what we've done with it. You know, we just finished a 350,000 square foot expansion of our exhibit space. And I think it's important for people to know we didn't build more exhibit space to go after bigger trade shows. We built more exhibit space to get our trade shows that had grown into my traditional meeting space out of it, so that I can put corporate business around it. There's such a corporate demand in today's world. Mandalay Bay, we have the new Delano product. We're going through a full overhaul of the tower rooms at Mandalay Bay. So by the end of 16, we are going to actually complete our mission, which is making Mandalay Bay the premier convention center destination in the US, because it has all the entertainment elements we were looking for, the new food and beverage. That's been a big accomplishment for us. Maryland is on target for 2016, and that is going to be, it's a very exciting project in National Harbor. That opens up fall of 2016. And then the biggest development is here in the strip between New York and Monte Carlo, where we're opening up a $400 million arena, $100 million park, and a $100 million theater. But the idea was all of those were put in play so that my groups have more opportunity to get outdoors, because everybody wants to be outdoors, and how many pools can you put them by? Right. And that tends to be the norm in our industry. This gave us the availability to really engage and put some really unique programming.
Well, you're right. Of course, health and wellness, all these things tie in together. But clearly you're doing an awful lot of great things, and we want to thank you, Mike Dominguez, for spending a few minutes with us on Smart Meetings TV. Thank you, Mike.
No, thank you. I appreciate the time.